শুভেচ্ছা স্বাগত সবাইকে চলতে চলতে অনুষ্ঠানে আমাদের আজকের অতিথি ঢাকায় সুইডেনের রাষ্ট্রদূত জোহান ফ্রিসেল Ambassador, most welcome to our show Cholte Cholte. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, we want to know about your personal life, about your childhood, about your diplomatic life. It's better to start from your childhood. Now you are a big diplomat, but how was your childhood? Can you recall?
I can. I come from a small town in Sweden, in the west of Sweden, not so far from Norway. I have two brothers and two sisters, so we were a big family. I'm the eldest.
You are the biggest.
I am. Borobai.
Yeah, Borobai. And you are the first son of your parents.
That's correct.
What about your parents? Are they alive still?
They are both alive. My father was a blacksmith, hard labor.
Yeah.
When he finished school at 14 years of age, after 8th grade, he went into his profession. He worked for 52 years, retired at 66 years of age, and now he's retired. And he's very satisfied. And every summer, I worked in his workshop with labor, blacksmith, welding, cutting iron. Yeah. Very interesting. My mother, she worked at a hospital as a health worker.
Nurse.
Yeah, nurse, less qualified. A helper.
So you are not belonging a very rich family. So what was your education life? You have to fight for education?
No, education in Sweden is free.
Yeah.
Primary school, secondary school, even university. So as long as you do your homework and do fairly good grades, you're just moving upwards. I was very interested at school. I did well. So for me it was natural to continue. My father asked me a couple of times, will you now quit school and go and work with me in my workshop?
Yeah.
And I said, no, I don't want to. And then he said, I understand you. Please continue your studies.
So it was your target to be a diplomat, or suddenly you became it?
No. When I was a kid, I always thought I was going to be a doctor, medical doctor, or an engineer.
He looks like a doctor.
So I was preparing. I studied biology and chemistry to be able to go onwards to studies in medicine. And then I did some maths to be able to do engineering. But the first studies I did at university was languages, because I was a bit uncertain what to study. So I started with, I was always interested in language. So I started with Russian language. And then it came to a turn in my planning.
Yeah.
Because after some studies in Russian, I was invited by the foreign ministry to do a one-year internship at the Swedish Consulate General in Leningrad. That was the name at that time, before it was St. Petersburg. So I did 1 year. I was doing a lot of interpretation, translation, reading newspapers, but I was also working in the visa department as an assistant.
Yeah.
So during this 1 year, this was in 1991, I discovered a new profession. For me, new profession, diplomat.
So in childhood, your plan was almost like Bangladeshi people. They want to be doctor or engineer.
Yes.
But you become diplomat. Is it better than being a doctor or engineer?
When I speak to Bangladeshi school kids, as you say, they say, I want to be engineer, doctor, teacher, or MP.
MP.
That's what I hear from the Bangladeshi kids. I never wanted to be an MP, but I'm very happy to be a diplomat. Now, I think it's very different. An engineer, I thought, was primarily to do inventions and technical things, and not so much working with people.
Directly.
Yeah, directly. But I find out that I very much like to work with people-to-people interaction.
The doctor was a very good option.
It should have been a good option, but destiny put me elsewhere.
Yeah.
When I come back after that year, 1 year in Russia, I said, no, I want to study things that can make me become a diplomat. So I went over to political science and history, and I continued with languages. So that was, the right combination to then come into the diplomatic service of the Swedish Foreign Ministry.
So from September to 2014, you are here in Dhaka.
Yep.
How do you evaluate your life here in Bangladesh?
It's a very exciting place to be, professionally very challenging, My embassy is dealing with a lot of things: development, visa, trade promotion, political affairs. So it's my first post as ambassador, but it is an ideal post because you deal with the entire spectrum of tasks that an ambassador normally will do.
So it's a part of history of your life that your first posting as ambassador is in Dhaka.
Yeah. Swedish diplomats are generally generalists, so we have little specialization. So I had a posting in Russia, I had a posting in Kenya. I've been to Brussels working with European Union affairs, and now Bangladesh. So you might say there is not much of logic, but there is one let's say, common feature. I want to have new challenges, go to environments where I have not been before. That's where you learn the most. And so now I've been here for a little more than 1 year. And I see I get good use of what I've learned before in my profession and also in my education.
So if I want to say, if you want to evaluate Bangladesh, the country which achieved by blood in 1971, where Bangladesh stand right now?
If you compare to 71, I think on every single account, this country has made enormous efforts, enormous progress. It is not comparable. At the start of 71, this country was a part of another state. It was the stages of the attempts to break free from that state. Economic development, social development, education, so much progress have been done since then. And I think the independence has helped Bangladesh achieve all these goals.
I know we have some story with Sweden from 1971, and you are our trusted friend, and we would like to talk with these issues. Before then we would like to take a short break. দর্শক ছোট্ট একটা বিরতি নিচ্ছি, কথা বলবো সুইডেনের রাষ্ট্রদূতের সঙ্গে, আমাদের সঙ্গে থাকবেন নিশ্চয়ই। স্বাগত আরেকবার। কথা বলছিলাম ঢাকায় সুইডেনের রাষ্ট্রদূত জোহান ফ্রিসেলের সঙ্গে। Ambassador, we know we have a long-lasting friendship between your country and our country, and it's very historical. In 1971, you were beside the Bangladeshi people. Do you have any story? Do you share it with our audience?
Yeah. When I got this job, I went into the archives of the Swedish Foreign Ministry to see what happened, what did we say, how did we analyze the situation, and I made some very interesting secrets. The story is not well known to the Swedish people, nor to the Bangladeshi people. Clearly Sweden and what is today Bangladesh have ties long back, and maybe the most important of this is that Rabindranath Tagore got the Nobel Prize in 1913. Already at that point, the Swedish Literary Society recognized the richness of the Bengali literature and culture. We had businessmen with Kolkata as their base, trading in different
parts
of current Bangladesh. 71, Sweden failed to see the critical elements of the conflict when it started in March 71. Sweden was always very supportive of decolonization and self-determination of the peoples. All the countries in Africa, Latin America, Asia, who won their independence from their colonial masters, we were very supportive. We started development aid. So when this evolved in the early 1971, Sweden didn't really understand what was happening. I can say now, this was a second decolonization. 47, the area was free from the UK, but in 71, this country liberated itself from the second colonizers, which was West Pakistan. So even if my embassy here did some very correct observations, I read in the report already by a few days after the start of the violence, 28th of March 71, the ambassador who was sitting in Islamabad, he wrote, "I cannot see that this situation will have any other option than the independence of Bangladesh. He wrote already 2 days after the start
That was
of the
his diplomatic note.
Yes, so that was the analysis of the Swedish Foreign Service at that time. Did we follow up with diplomatic action? Much later, we started humanitarian aid in view of the refugee situation in West Bengal. In Sweden, a few months later, by June, July, August, a public debate started. Many people, also the opposition in the parliament, told the government, don't you see what is happening? It is atrocities, it is an unjust violence against the population of Bangladesh. But the government stayed fairly reluctant to do anything. By after summer, the opinion got much higher.
Public opinion.
Yes, and a Swedish journalist called Andres Kung wrote this book that was published, and it carried the name Bangladesh, an Asian dilemma.
In 1971.
This is in the autumn of 1971.
Yeah.
A very good report, fact-finding report on what is actually happening in Bangladesh or East Pakistan at that time. So this was one of the items that was on the table of the Swedish government. So by September, October 71, we started to move. It is not acceptable to what is happening. When India formally entered the war on the 3rd of December 71, of course, the whole international community realized this is not a domestic war in any way. It now has international proportions. The 4th and the 5th and the 6th December, the Security Council tried to resolve this issue. They failed. It was pushed to the General Assembly of the United Nations. On the 7th of December, the Swedish ambassador to the United Nations held a speech in the debate, and he said, what is happening in East Pakistan is terror.
Directly he said.
He said terror.
And that was perhaps the first, he used the first this kind of word.
It was the first time a Swedish representative said it outspokenly. But then, of course, the military events took its own turn. In only basically 12 days, the Bangladeshi freedom fighters and the Indian armed forces together finished the war and liberated this territory.
Yeah. Now the question comes to the recognition of Bangladesh. When you recognize Bangladesh as an independent and sovereign country?
As I said, already in March 71, we had recognized that there is basically no other end of this fight than independence. Yeah. So a few days into 1972,
but that was not official.
No, that was internal. Absolutely. Yeah. A few days into 1972, in January, we decided we will recognize Bangladesh as an independent country. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman returned from his imprisonment in Pakistan.
The father of the nation.
The father of the nation. And at that point it was clear that a new nation has been born and it is irrevocable. So we said publicly, early January, we will recognize Bangladesh. And then we did a lot of consultations with the other Nordic countries, UK and others, and we decided 4th of February will be the day when we recognize. Yeah. So that was the breakthrough. Before that, 10 or 12 countries had recognized Bangladesh on that very day.
But there is a question, why you take this 1 month, 4 days, because almost 2 months, because Bangladesh got its independence on 16 December 1971 and you recognized us on 4th February 1972. Yeah. Is there any dilemma or is there any diplomatic equations?
Apart from the fact that consulting with all the other countries took some time, I think internationally there are some criteria when you recognize an independent country. And one criteria is that you should have territorial control. Yeah. Your own authorities, in this case Bangladesh government, should have control over its own authority. So at that point we evaluated what was the purpose of the Indian troops staying behind. Of course, the father of the nation said, they are here on my invitation, they are here to help uphold law and order for us to be able to get going again. So I think that was the point we were analyzing. How long would the Indian troops stay? Are they there because the leader of the nation had invited them or because by their own, let's say, concept? When this was clear, it paved the way for the full recognition. And
formally, our friendship started from 4th of February 1972.
That's right.
And now it's going on. And what's the present status of our friendship? We would like to know that. Before that, again, we have to take a break. দর্শক আবার একটা ছোট্ট বিরতি নিচ্ছি, আমাদের সঙ্গে থাকবেন নিশ্চয়ই। দর্শক বিরতির পর স্বাগত আরেকবার। কথা বলছিলাম সুইডেনের রাষ্ট্রদূতের সঙ্গে। এক্সেলেন্সি, ইউ আর মেনশনিং অ্যাবাউট ইউর রোল ইন 1971 and it's already proved that you are our trusted partners from the very beginning of our birthhood. And you know, the present government of Bangladesh, they have some, they would like to recognize those friends. Did Bangladesh recognize yet any friend from Sweden during their for their role in liberation, right?
Yes. There are a dozen or so that has received recognition. They had played different roles here or in Sweden or internationally during 71, and they have been recognized.
What is the present status of our bilateral relationship?
They are very good. Our relations are very much influenced by our development agenda.
Yeah.
Since the first fact-finding mission came in early 72 to set up the fundamentals of Swedish development aid, we have been here active with Development Aid Corporation. It is still the most, let's say, salient feature of our relationship. We are still very active. We have just decided to extend our development strategy up to 2020 or 2021. So we are there. Our early investments in development had to do with emancipation of the population, education, health, rural development. Because if you don't invest in your people, make sure that they live, that they have the health, that they are educated, then you cannot achieve anything else.
If I want to know regarding trade relation between two countries, where it stands right now?
If you look at the official figures, this is not very impressive. The major feature of the trade is that Bangladesh is exporting ready-made garments to Sweden.
Yeah.
The other way, some machinery, telecoms communication. There is a company called Ericsson who is providing a lot of these solutions. But it's also important to know that one single fashion company called H&M is the single largest buyer of RMGs. So they bought $5 billion out of the total envelope of $25 billion RMG.
That's serious.
So it's one single Swedish company who's making a lot of impact on the export figures. But only a small piece of these clothes actually go to Sweden because they have stores in 50, 60 countries.
So you are almost in 20 years in the diplomatic service. Obviously you have some very good experiences, you have some bad experience, and you have some tough moment. If I want to know the tough moment of your diplomatic life, which one would be?
When security gets worse. I have experienced that in Russia, in Kenya, and you have to take care of your own situation, the situation of your compatriots, Swedish staff. It's tough. Right now we are in some uncertain times here in Bangladesh. I think the police is doing a good job to find those who have perpetrated murders on bloggers and foreigners and Hossein Dalan. But until we know surely who are those who have planned and orchestrated, we cannot be entirely sure. So this is one issue. Another experience from my long life is that we have to safeguard the achievements we have made in the area of democracy and human rights. In 1991, the character of the Swedish development aid to Bangladesh changed suddenly because it was an open society, human rights, democracy. And this is something that we continue to try to safeguard. Support organizations who are active in the field and have a dialogue with the government to safeguard all these results that have been made for the secular, open, democratic society where human rights are respected.
Don't you think you have moved some districts in Bangladesh already? How do you find our people? They are not very secular?
I find your people to be extremely friendly, open-minded, interested. I have not on one single occasion felt threatened or ill-treated. Very hospitable people. I see when I travel a population who like to share other cultures, religions, traditions. I visited Durga Puja recently. A lot of Muslims there. It's a nice party. We share each other's cultures. I think that's a very good quality of the Bangladeshi people.
Johan, you have a family here. I want to know, we are very much in part of our program. We want to know about your family, about your wife, about your children.
Yes, I'm here with my whole family. That's my wife and 3 children. They go to school, all of them. They're having a good time. We have taken them to a lot of adventures. We have been swimming in the small rivers in North Sylhet district. We have been doing surfing in Cox's Bazar. We have been looking for tigers in Sundarbans. We didn't see any.
How many days you were in Sundarban?
5 days.
Okay.
We have been trekking in the hill tracts, Chittagong hill tracts. So a lot of things to explore, and we feel very nice about this.
Okay. What about your wife? She is happy with Dhaka, with traffic jam?
My wife is happy. She's a professional too, so she's still looking for a good job for herself. But I hope it will come.
Then I want to know about your lifestyle, especially the weather of your country and Bangladesh is not same, and the food habit is not the same. So how do you feel?
Well, one reason for choosing Bangladesh was because of the nice weather. It is warm, nice. We feel very comfortable with that. The food, we are getting used to it. Every member of my family has their own specialties. I like the fish a lot. The hilsa, the rui, and they cook it in different styles. So that's a nice experience.
At the very beginning of the show, you said you have interest in languages, and already you have learned some language, and you know Bangla also. I know you have done short course in Bangla language, even going to Kolkata. So can you please tell about your dream in Bangla?
আমি বাংলা ভাষা ও শিখতে পারি, কিন্তু আপনাদের ভাষা কঠিন, খুব কঠিন আমার মনে হয়. Now my dream for Bangla is to gradually be able to use it more professionally. But now I know it enough to say, I go to the village, I can say Assalamu alaikum, kemon achen, and get some feedback from, because I usually go out and try to meet the people who we are interacting with in our development or in our trade relations.
আমরা একেবারে শেষ পর্যায়ে আপনাকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ আমাদের সময় দেওয়ার জন্য.
আপনাকে ধন্যবাদ.
দর্শক, শেষ করছি আজ, কথা হবে পরবর্তী পর্বে অন্য কোনো অতিথির সঙ্গে। সেই পর্যন্ত সঙ্গে থাকবেন নিশ্চয়ই।